My name is Liza, and I live in Austin, Texas. I'm 18 years old and about to graduate high school, but life hasn't exactly been a fairy tale. After my mom passed away when I was little, it was just me and my dad for a long time. He did his best, but his job eventually took him to another state, and that's when everything changed. Dad remarried a woman named Sophia, and at first, I thought maybe things would get better, that I'd finally have a family again. But Sophia? She's not the loving stepmom she pretends to be when Dad's around. And her daughter, Rebecca, my stepsister. Let's just say she sees me more as competition than family. Living with them has been like walking on eggshells. Rebecca gets away with everything. She's spoiled, selfish, and always looking for a way to put me down. If I complain or try to stand up for myself, Sophia shuts me down, telling me to stop whining or be grateful. It's like she only defends Rebecca to keep the peace, even if it means treating me like I don't matter. The weird part, when Dad visits, Sophia flips a switch. Suddenly, I'm her lovely daughter, and she acts like we're all one big happy family. It's exhausting, but I've learned to keep my head down and focus on getting through high school. I know I can't leave yet. I refuse to give them the satisfaction. One day, I tell myself, they'll be out of my life, and I'll finally have peace. But until then, I've been stuck in a house where I'm treated like an outsider or worse, like the help. It's been years of biting my tongue, swallowing my pride, and waiting for my chance to escape. Little did I know, everything would come to a head on my graduation day. Graduation day was supposed to be one of the happiest days of my life, a milestone marking the end of all the struggles I endured in that house. For once, I wanted to celebrate my hard work and feel proud of myself. I even saved up money from my part-time job to buy a beautiful dress. It wasn't over-the-top expensive, but it was elegant, and I felt confident wearing it. I hoped for just one day where I could forget about Sophia and Rebecca's constant put-downs. The ceremony itself was everything I'd imagined. As I walked across the stage to get my diploma, I spotted my dad in the crowd, cheering louder than anyone. For a moment, I felt like a normal teenager with a supportive family, but that moment didn't last long. The party back at the house was small, just close friends, a few neighbors, and of course my dad. Sophia had insisted on hosting it, claiming it was her way of showing how proud she was of me. I knew better. It was all a show for my dad. The way she kept calling me my lovely Liza and bragging to guests about how we raised such a smart, hard-working girl made me want to scream. Rebecca, as usual, found a way to ruin everything. She walked into the party late, wearing a dress that was clearly meant to outshine mine, something flashy and borderline inappropriate for a family gathering. From the moment she arrived, her eyes were glued to me, narrowing every time someone complimented my dress or congratulated me. It wasn't until later in the evening, when most of the guests had left, that her jealousy boiled over. I was standing by the dessert table, talking to a friend, when Rebecca stormed over. Her voice was sharp, dripping with disdain as she spat. "Why do you think you deserve to wear that dress? You probably stole Dad's money to buy it, didn't you?" I froze, stunned by her audacity. "What are you talking about?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. She didn't answer. Instead, she grabbed the edge of my dress and yanked at it, spilling her drink all over the fabric in the process. "You're not better than me, Liza," she screamed. "Stop acting like you are." Before I could react, she slapped me. Right there, in front of Sophia, my dad, and a few lingering guests. The room went silent. My face burned, not just from the slap, but from the humiliation. Sophia rushed over, not to defend me, but to cover up Rebecca's behavior. "Oh, it's just sisters being sisters," she said with a forced laugh, trying to downplay what had just happened. I couldn't hold back anymore. "Sisters?" She just slapped me. "This isn't normal." I yelled, my voice cracking. My dad looked confused, torn between what he just witnessed and Sophia's attempts to smooth things over. "Liza, maybe we should all calm down," he started, but I couldn't calm down. "No, Dad," I said, tears streaming down my face. "You don't get it. This is what they're really like when you're not here. Rebecca's a bully, and Sophia lets her get away with it. They've been treating me like garbage for years." Sophia's face went pale, and she started stammering, "Liza, honey, that's not true. We love you." "Stop lying," I snapped. "You only pretend to care when Dad's around. The rest of the time, you treat me like I don't belong here." I ran upstairs, locked myself in my room, and called my dad. I couldn't face him in person, not after everything that had just happened. But I needed to tell him the full truth. Over the phone, I poured out everything I'd kept bottled up, how Sophia treated me like a maid, how Rebecca constantly tormented me, and how they only acted nice to me when he was home. To my surprise, he didn't try to interrupt or downplay my feelings. He just listened. When I finally finished, my voice hoarse from crying, he said, "I'll be there soon." True to his word, my dad showed up at the house that same night. He didn't knock or wait for an explanation. He walked straight in and demanded to know what had been going on. Sophia tried to sweet-talk her way out of it, but for once my dad wasn't buying it. "You think I'm blind," he said, his voice steady but filled with anger. "I saw what happened at the party. And now, hearing everything Liza's told me, I can't believe I trusted you to take care of her." Sophia's protests fell on deaf ears. Rebecca tried to play the victim, claiming I had provoked her, but my dad wasn't having it. "You've both been mistreating my daughter, and I won't stand for it," he said. "Pack your things and get out." Sophia's jaw dropped. "You can't be serious," she cried. "I am," he said firmly. "Liza deserves better than this. I married you because I thought you'd help give her a family, but all you've done is hurt her. Get out." That was the first time I truly felt like my dad had my back. As Sophia and Rebecca packed their bags and left, I felt a weight lift off my shoulders. For the first time in years, I felt like I could breathe again. A year had passed since my graduation day. Life was finally starting to feel normal. Without Sophia and Rebecca in the house, the tension that once suffocated me was gone. My dad made a real effort to spend more time at home, and I threw myself into college and part-time work. For the first time in years, I could focus on myself without constantly looking over my shoulder. Then, out of nowhere, they showed up. I had just finished a shift at the campus coffee shop and was walking back to my small off-campus apartment when I saw Sophia standing by my door. At first, I thought I was imagining it. After all, she was the last person I expected to see. But there she was, looking disheveled, her once pristine hair unkempt and her face lined with worry. Beside her stood Rebecca, clutching a bag that looked like it held everything she owned. "Liza," Sophia started, her voice soft and almost pleading, "we need to talk." I felt a wave of anger surge through me. The nerve of them, showing up here after everything they put me through. "What are you doing here?" I asked, crossing my arms. "Please just hear me out," she said. We've lost everything. After what happened at your graduation, your father cut us off completely. We had to sell the house. Rebecca couldn't finish school because we couldn't afford the tuition. We've been staying with friends, but now we have nowhere to go. We need your help." I almost laughed at the absurdity of it. "My help? You have got to be kidding me." Rebecca, who had been quiet until now, looked up with tears in her eyes. She wasn't wearing her usual designer clothes. Instead, she was dressed in faded jeans and a worn-out sweatshirt. "Please, Liza," she said softly. "We're desperate." It was almost surreal. The same people who had treated me like I was nothing were now standing on my doorstep, asking for my kindness. "I don't owe you anything," I said, my voice trembling with a mix of anger and disbelief. "After the way you treated me? You think I'm just going to forget all of that because you're suddenly in trouble?" Sophia stepped closer, her hands clasped together. "I know we made mistakes," she said. "I know we hurt you. But we're your family. Can't we start over? Please, Liza, give us a chance." I shook my head, taking a step back. "Family? You didn't treat me like family when I needed you. You treated me like a burden, like a maid, like I didn't even belong in my own home. And now you want my help because you've run out of options. That's not how this works." Sophia's composure cracked, and she started crying. "I know I failed you, Liza. I was wrong. I thought I was protecting Rebecca. But I see now that I was blind to what I was doing to you. Please don't turn us away. We have nowhere else to go." Rebecca sniffled, her voice barely above a whisper. "I'm sorry too, Liza. I know I was awful to you. I didn't know how to handle everything after Dad died, and I took it out on you. But I changed. I swear I have." Their words might have moved me once, but now they felt hollow. I thought about all the nights I cried myself to sleep, all the times I felt invisible, all the moments they tore me down just to make themselves feel bigger. I thought about how I swore to myself that I'd never let them hurt me again. "I'm glad you've changed," I said, my voice firm but steady. "But that doesn't erase what you did to me. You don't get to waltz back into my life and expect me to fix your problems. You told me to leave my own home, Sophia. You treated me like garbage, Rebecca. Now look where that's gotten you. That's not my fault, and it's not my responsibility to fix it. Sophia tried one last time. Please, Liza. If not for me, then for Rebecca. She's your sister. No, I interrupted. She's not. Sisters don't do what she did to me. And you? You're not my mother, Sophia. You never were. You just pretended to be when it suited you. So no, I won't help you. Go find someone else to manipulate. I took a deep breath, standing taller. And if you ever show up here again, I'll call the police. Now leave. Sophia and Rebecca stared at me, stunned into silence. For a moment, I thought they might argue. But then Sophia nodded, defeated. They turned and walked away, and I watched as they disappeared down the street, carrying the weight of their own choices. As I closed the door, a sense of relief washed over me. After that day, everything changed for the better. I didn't realize how much of my life I had spent carrying the weight of their cruelty until I finally let it go. Closing that door wasn't just about turning them away. It was about reclaiming my life, my peace, and my sense of self-worth. I focused on my future with a new sense of clarity. My part-time job turned into a stepping stone for an internship, and I threw myself into my studies. Slowly but surely, I built a life that felt like mine, a life without their shadows hanging over me. My small apartment became my sanctuary. It wasn't much, but it was filled with things that brought me joy. Photos of my friends, books I loved, and even little plants I learned to keep alive. I spent time with people who genuinely cared about me, people who saw me for who I was and not as a scapegoat or a target. One evening, as I sat on my balcony with a cup of tea, watching the sunset, I felt something I hadn't felt in years: peace. For so long, I had clung to the hope that things would change, that they would see me, love me, and treat me like I mattered. But in letting go of that hope, I had found something even better: myself. I wasn't angry anymore. I wasn't bitter. I didn't need their apologies or their approval. What mattered was that I had stood up for myself when it counted, that I had chosen to protect my heart and my future. Sometimes I wonder where they ended up, but the thought doesn't linger for long. Their choices were their own, just as mine were mine. I finally understood that my worth was never tied to their treatment of me. I had always been enough, just as I was. Now I'm living the life I've always dreamed of, filled with love, laughter, and purpose. And as I sit here, surrounded by the life I've built, I feel proud. Not just for surviving, but for thriving. For becoming the person I was always meant to be, free from their toxicity and fully in control of my happiness.